Bonjour tout le monde, on va aujourd'hui discuter le français pour le bac. Le bac est la même chose que A-level en Angleterre, and today I'm basically going to explain how I got an A or an A star in A-level French. Now, A-level French is a big step up from GCSE, and I feel like if you watch this video, you're gonna get a bit of a heads up into what you're expecting because it definitely was a big jump. Nothing could have prepared me for it apart from a few things. So let's get into it. So let's just talk about the structure of the exam. So the structure is fairly similar to the GCSE exam. You've got your reading paper, you've got your writing paper, and you've got your speaking paper, speaking exam. But it's a few nuances to each. So the reading paper, depending on your exam board, most exam boards do this. For example, AQA, you have your reading section, and at the end you have a small like writing bit, but in the writing bit it's literally translating from English to French, 10 marks, and French to English, 10 marks. It's like literally a paragraph translation. That's your reading paper done. We then have your writing paper. This is your actual writing paper. You study a book and a film or two books, and you write about those two in your writing paper. So first one, it can either be the book or the film. You write something on one book or one film, and the second one, you write another thing on one book and one film. This probably was my hardest exam just because it's literally English literature, but in French. That's how I can compare it. And the final exam is the speaking exam. Now, this is similar to GCSE. There's a picture and there's a text. It's actually, you have to describe what's being said in the text using your own words. So this can be about any of the topics like la famille, it can be about la cybersociété, it can be about la politique. So one example was, pensez-vous que les personnes âgées doivent avoir le droit de vote? Which means, do you think that old people should have the right to vote? Which was a follow-up question from the text, which was basically going on about more and more old people don't know about who they're voting for, and so, and you basically had to give a well-detailed answer to the examiner in French. For example, moi, franchement, je pense que les personnes âgées ne peuvent pas voter parce qu'ils ont un cerveau qui est manipulé par so and so, which basically means I don't think that old people can vote because their brains are manipulated by so and so. But again, if you do say that, you have to explain it in French. So that's that. And then obviously you have to, with the speaking exam, you have to pull in a few facts. So facts about 20% de personnes âgées ne votent pas, like they don't vote. Obviously, this is a made-up figure. You can make up figures, but make them sound a bit. But in terms of key dates, you should really know a few key dates, like the date, like what date same-sex marriage was allowed, etc., just so that you actually do know a bit about French. The second part of the French speaking exam is the IRP. Now, this is probably the most difficult part of the exam because you're basically told to research a topic, a film, a book, anything, and basically speak about it for 2 minutes and also have like back and forth conversation about your topic. So I did mine based on a film called Les Miserables. Les Miserables, it's like similar to La Haine, if you're studying La Haine. It's about police brutality, le racisme, et la différence entre les riches et les pauvres, comme les personnes dans la banlieue sont traitées dans un cercle vicieux, juste comme La Haine. Basically, you have to describe this film, analyze it, expliquer pourquoi le réalisateur, explain why the director of the film a décidé d'utiliser les techniques spécifiques. For example, why did he use this technique? Why did he choose to begin the film in this way, etc.? And you just have to do this like sort of back and forth conversation with the examiner. And yeah, those are the three parts of well, three parts of the exam. You have the listening exam, which is exactly like the GCSE exam, a bit more difficult, but you are in control of like you're in control of like the listening audio, so you can rewind, you can forward, you can listen back as many times as you want, obviously within the time frame you have of the whole entire exam. So if I had to rank which exam was the hardest, I'd probably say writing, listening, reading, and speaking. I'd say, and there's a few reasons for this. First of all, your writing paper, even though it's the hardest, it's worth half of the marks than it actually is, especially for AQA, because your speaking mark is actually doubled. Same with your, I think it's with your reading mark, but speaking, if you get a really high score in your speaking, if you get, let's just say, if you get full marks in your reading, full marks in your speaking, and you get like 20% in your writing, then that's still fine. You'll still get an A just because your writing is weighed less than your reading and speaking. So if I was giving you one piece of advice, if you are stepping up into A levels, if you're already doing A levels, I can tell you that a GCSE student could sit this A level reading paper. It's not about grammar because you've learnt most of the grammar. If you haven't learnt most of the grammar, I feel like there's like only a few things, like 3 things that you'll probably need to learn, which aren't too difficult. But it's vocab that will literally kill you, because the amount of vocab that you need to learn is endless. You need to know what anything is, like a plug socket, a plastic bag, a phone stand, a singing competition, any random word they're expecting you to know. So they're expecting you to know this hands down. And that's the thing that most people struggle with, because there's so many words in the A-level papers that you are like, what the hell does this mean? That's why learning vocab from a key stage right from the beginning is so important, and be vocab specific. So per topic, learn as much vocab as you can per topic. That's why I'm saying there's not actually information you need to learn for the French A level apart from your book and the film. It's more of just getting that big range of vocab so you can actually read through a reading paper and actually know what it means, because it's literally a fairly simple comprehension. It's a simple comprehension if you understand it, and the only way you understand it is by learning that vocab. But now let's move on to the writing aspect of the paper. The writing aspect was probably very difficult, especially because you have no idea how to structure an essay in French, but it's exactly the same as you would in English. Peel, point, evidence, explain, link. So point is so let's just go on Latin, which is a film about police brutality and how racism and how loads of people in the banlieue, which is a suburb of Paris, are discriminated against. There's lots of like all of those themes together. Just put them into one and you get Latin. Dans quelle mesure êtes-vous d'accord? So to what extent do you agree that le film La Haine est un film pessimiste? So to what extent do you think the film La Haine is completely pessimist? You don't need an introduction, but I tended to do a small thing. Like La Haine est un film réalisé par Kassovitz qui décrit la vie noire et blanc dans la banlieue. So and so. And then you start off with your example. Je pense que je suis complètement d'accord que La Haine est un film pessimiste, and you basically explain why. Premièrement, so and so and so. And then explain it. Kassovitz utilise le technique, or Kassovitz utilise le technique de noir et blanc, which is what the film is in black and white, even for its time, pour montrer la vie sans couleur des habitants dans la banlieue. So it's stuff like that, and then you obviously link back to the question, and that sort of reiterates the idea that the film is completely pessimist and there's no optimistic side to the film. Basically, Peel, I think you don't need to write a lot as long as it's key and you're doing quality over quantity, you're completely fine. Listening was probably very hard for me because it goes very quickly, it's very nuanced, and you just have to really pay attention. And there's a lot of trick questions. Like sometimes you'll hear something but there's a negative in there and you might think, oh, this might be this. You really have to be careful with the listening because you can lose a lot of marks with the listening. But if you know your vocab, I'm telling you, if you know your vocab and you memorize just a few key structures for your written paper, then you'll be completely fine. So hopefully this video has helped, and if you are doing A-level French, then good luck, because I'm sure it will be fine. Majority of people end up doing good. As long as you know the vocab, you're completely fine. So learn as much vocab as you can and you'll be fine. Get a head start. And also one thing to note is that most of your French lessons will be in French. So in GCSE, the teacher would be talking in English, but A-level, it's literally, you're literally gonna have to force yourself to speak French. And your teacher's also literally gonna be talking to you in French. So good luck. You're going to do amazing, and I wish you the best of luck with A-level French. It is a blessing, honestly, sometimes, and it's also a nightmare, but it will be completely fine. Good